You can have a dream that's not necessarily prophecy.
But it became reality, or like it meant something.
So dreams, we say that dreams are 1/60th of prophecy. But those are true dreams. A dream is 1/60th of prophecy. But there's different types of dreams. There's the dream that a person has after he has like a bad burrito. It's like, ooh. And it's like, something's like not, and then he goes to bed and he's like, whoa. So those are dreams that are based on just some output of gaseous substance, and his brain is just being like spun. Okay, that's one type of dream. We don't pay so much attention to those dreams because that's just burrito. Okay, not much more. I'm not kidding. The Derech Hashem talks about this.
Burritos?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like some bad mixture of foods, or a person like eats a lot of candy before bed and like has bad dreams. There's such a thing. So we don't pay too much attention to that. It's not a good thing because you don't want to be having those images. So just better to stay off like weird burrito mixtures before bed. Then there's another type of dream, which is the dreams that you see based on just all the images that you saw during the day. The sum total of like all these images. Some of the guys were doing some research into how many images and ads a person sees in a given day. A normal guy on his phone. It's like a normal working guy who just like a regular scrolling, scroller. No, not like a hyper scroller, not a lowball scroller, a regular scroller. How many images? We got a range, I think, in some of the market research we did between 4,000 and 10,000 images. That is, even on the low end, that is insane. That's insane. And some of the guys are like, no, really, is it that many? They're like, you don't understand, bro. The Snapchat things you think, those are ads. They're playing you. You thought they are ads also. So there was a whole back and forth with the chevra. Whatever the case is, that's a lot of images. So even though a person never saw a pink elephant holding a daisy before, he has seen daisies, he's seen elephants, and he's seen the color pink. So in his dream, he's putting things together. Because in the dream state, you can blur borders and things could come together. So that's the second type of dream, where it's just the sum total of all these interesting things that you've seen during the day. And depending on the things that you're exposed to, you may or may not take those dreams also so seriously. Then there's another category of dreams, which is the category of dreams where you've quieted your mind. You've prepared for sleep in the appropriate ways. You're prepared for sleep in the appropriate ways by saying Kriyat Shema Lamita, which is the bedtime Shema, which is the way that we could help our soul go to where it needs to go at night, by removing some of the static of the daytime, by relaxing ourselves, and then once the distractions of this world have kind of settled, now you could open up your consciousness to receive a higher broadcast. Those dreams can indicate things to us. Now, it's an important thing to point out, Pharaoh, who's having dreams, right? Pharaoh's having dreams. What's the dreams of Pharaoh? What did he see?
The cows.
Saw the cows coming out of the Nile. First he saw what kind of cows?
Skinny.
First he saw some robust, fleischige bovine coming out, good-looking cows, and they were grazing by the marshland. And then he saw 7 emaciated, sickly cows, and then what happened? They ate the fat ones. Okay, then he wakes up, he has another dream with the stalks, he wakes up, Hine chaloim, it was 2 parts of one long dream, and what does he say? I need somebody to help me interpret this. He brings all the Chartumei Mitzrayim, all the necromancers, and all the Chachmei Mitzrayim, and nobody provides an interpretation that he feels is hitting the nail on the head. Then what happens?
Yosef.
So first the cupbearer says, Es chatoy ani azker hayoim, I have to mention what I did, that remember, he was the one that allowed that the cup should go to Pharaoh with a fly in it, even though he was returned to his post. His fellow, the baker, who let a pebble into the challah, did not return to his post. And there was a Jew with us who interpreted them exactly as what happened. Within moments, Yosef HaTzadik goes from being in the darkest pit to standing with a fresh fade, a new haircut, new digs, I'm sure it was icy, in front of Pharaoh in a second. That's an amazing thing just to think about. That in 1 second you can go from the darkest pit in some Egyptian prison in front of the king. And the king is asking your advice. Pharaoh then says over the dreams, he says something fascinating. Actually, when you guys learn the parasha, pay attention to the way that he has the dreams, to the way that he tells the dreams over to Yosef. Pay attention to the wording and how he switches certain things, or how he interprets. So one of the things that when he tells over the dream of the cows to Yosef, he says the fat cows came out, and then the sickly cows, and then he adds something. And he says, and I never saw cows like this ever in Mitzrayim. I never saw sickly cows like this. In other words, what was he telling Yosef? Don't think this is a dream that I'm having because I saw those images on my smartphone. I saw those images, and now I'm just experiencing them in my dream state. I never saw that ever in my awake state, and therefore this is a real dream. So you have to be aware within your dream state, am I having dream experiences, which is just images and things that I've seen during the day? Or is this something that's from a higher place?
Mm-hmm. So Pharaoh's dream was like a holy prophetic experience?
It wasn't what we call a holy prophetic experience, but a dream is 1/60th of prophecy. And it was something that Hashem was transmitting to him. And he was pointing out to Yosef, don't think I've seen these cows before. There's a meaning to this. And then Yosef explained what was happening. So dreams, especially in this month, this is the month of dreams, we do take dreams seriously as long as they're not burrito dreams. Okay? So you should realize, it probably behooves a human being, who's a thinking human being, to think about the fact that God made us in a way that we are trying to maximize every minute of our lives to be close to God. You come to yeshiva, you realize like every minute is meaningful. We're always involved in mitzvahs. We're always involved in doing another good deed and helping somebody else and learning and building. It's so fascinating. Why would God make it in such a way, if it's all about being productive, that we spend 1/3 of our life sleeping? It's kind of inefficient. Okay, if you're really, 1/4 of your life, that's still a lot of time. It's a lot of time. If it's all about being active, God could have made it that you just sleep for 1 second. He could have made anything.
Recharge your soul.
Yeah, so why did it need to be so long? So one of the answers to this, very, very important, is to realize that the dream state is not a time that, like most people think, I got to just turn off for a little bit. Recharge, but there's nothing to do then. I'll rejoin the world in 6 to 8 hours. No. For the Jew, there's what to do while you're sleeping. There's work to do in the dream state. Once you start realizing that going to bed is just another type of avodas Hashem, not simply I'm sleeping that I could wake up refreshed, because Hashem could have made that I sleep for a second and wake up refreshed. And I still would have had the message that don't think that you could do it all yourself, you have to go and recharge your soul. So fine, give me 5 minutes, a little cat nap a day. It's that it's such an extensive amount of time because there's what to do in the dream state. There's work to be done. Now, that takes work. to prepare yourself to go through the dream universe as the fetters of this world fade and you're not as encumbered with physicality anymore, you're able to experience things on a much higher sublime level. And ideally that you go to a place where you're experiencing the 60th of prophecy. When the Arizal would sleep on Shabbos, it says that he took a good sleep on Shabbos. Many people are machmir, like the Arizal. They want to make sure that they get a good couple hours in on a long Shabbos afternoon. The Arizal did it. Well, after you see what he did when he slept, then you'll decide if this is what you're doing as well. So it says that it's told, and it's brought down, Rabbi Chaim Vital writes this, his main student who wrote down all of his Torah, that there was one time that he was sleeping on Shabbos day, and he would sleep for about 3 hours, and there was a student there that was in the room just observing his Rebbe. Now, why would somebody do that? Because the idea is, Torah hiva little moed ani tzarich. This is also Torah. I want to see how, if you could see Itchy Meyer sleeping, it would be like, how does the tzaddik, there's something special. So the Arizal was sleeping, and he didn't want to wake him up, obviously. All of a sudden, he did something, and he stirred the Arizal, and he woke up. He woke up the lion. So he said, I can't believe it. But now that you're awake, Rabbi, can you tell me what you were learning? What you were doing? So he said the following. He says, I was learning Parshas Balak in Shemayim, which is Bilam and Balak. Bilam, was Pharaoh's chief advisor. And I was learning Parshas Balak. If I were to speak to you right now, non-stop, and tell you what I was learning, and I would speak 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 12 months a year for 70 years, I could not begin to tell you what I was just learning in this couple-hour little nap. Meaning an entire lifetime of me talking to you, of the things I was glimpsing, just in Parshas Balak, I couldn't. So people say, I need a good nap on Shabbos day, I'll daven like the early mincha, and I'll make shalosh shudas, and we'll get like a whole bagel in there. So I don't know if you're doing what the Arizal is doing, but to realize that sleep is part of the avodas Hashem, and that the dream state is offering a glimpse of something. And if you haven't noticed, every one of the parshas in this month is about dreams. The whole month is about dreams. Every parsha now is dreams. The month of Kislev is the month of dreams. Pay attention to everybody's dreaming. Yosef is a dreamer. Yaakovin is remembering the dreams of Yosef, that they're going to come true. Everything is about dreaming. So the way that the prophet experiences the prophecy, we explained earlier, it's either in a dream, but it's not just a regular dream, it's a full-blown prophecy, or it's by day while he's awake. And if it's by day while he's awake, then his body convulses. If it's at night when he's sleeping, there's a discussion if the prophet has to convulse also, or he's even able to experience the full-blown prophecy in a dream state. So either way, we're talking about the image that the prophet receives as an analogy. That analogy, that mashal, so now the Rambam goes on and he says, the prophet will always get an analogy. The prophet may or may not share the analogy he got. He might only share the meaning of the analogy. It's important. He might only share the analogy, or he might share both.
Like obligated to, you're saying?
If it's something that would be for all the generations, like the 24 books of the Tanakh, so that would be then something the prophet has to now write down. But the prophet does not have to do that. There were millions of prophets. Like we said, in the olden days, you could walk down the streets and say good Shabbos to a prophet. The ones that you'd never heard. Just, your friend, Chaim Yankel, and he started really getting into shir, and he went up to the Rosh Yeshiva's shir, and then he was making moves, and all of a sudden he started taking davening seriously, and he's going to the Kislev for nights, and next thing you know, you haven't heard from him for a year till he gets married, and You bump into him one day and you're like, Chaim Yanko, how are you doing? He's like, Baruch Hashem, it's going great. Like last week I had my first prophetic experience. Chaim Yanko, Shkoya, good Shabbos, nice. Like, what's with you? I don't know, got my accounting degree, like I'm making moves, I'm still working on the prophecy stuff. So you could do it also. You could be an accountant who's a prophet, as long as you're wise, as long as you have good midos. It's not a stira. As long as that you're happy. It says prophecy only comes to happy people. Prophecy rejects unhappy people. But just imagine that. You could speak to a prophet and just talk to them. And these weren't the ones like Yechezkel that wrote books for all the generations. Yeah.
Joseph, this wasn't the first time that he had interpreted somebody else's dream. How could he, how would he know whether it was just like a burrito dream or a prophecy, like Pharaoh's?
There's a secret when it comes to dreams, which is that if you have a dream, you should go to somebody who loves you, and he'll tell you the interpretation. Because dreams are very much also linked. Sometimes you don't need to share a dream. You should think about it yourself, because there might be a real prophetic message. If it's like a burrito dream, you should try to reject it. But the person interpreting the dream, this is also the power of interpretation, is that if you go to somebody, you'll see the dream can follow the interpretation. That's why Yosef, the dream followed the interpretation. And there's a halacha that you should go to somebody that loves you, tell them the dream, and they can tell you the interpretation. Now, these people can't be, nobodies. They should be people that know Torah. They should be people that are wise, but mainly people that love you. And if you tell them your dream, they'll share with you the inner meaning, and they'll guide the dream in a good direction. We should be zoicha, my friends, to have good dreams, and then ultimately to get to a level of prophecy with Mashiach Tzidkeinu b'mhira v'yameinu. Amen. Have a wonderful day, my friends.